Welcome. In this presentation, I will be analyzing a Bring Your Own Device, or BYOD, implementation that occurred in a college-level intensive English program in the United Arab Emirates. This analysis will include a summary of the implementation, an exploration of the implementation's connection to theories of mobile learning, and my suggestions for the leaders of the institution. This BYOD implementation took place in the context of a women's intensive English language program at a university in the UAE. Students in this program are working to achieve English proficiency before entering their preferred major. Therefore, students are often under a great deal of pressure to proceed through the classes and move on to their primary studies. This leads to pressure on the instructors to maintain high levels of engagement and constant support, as well as remotivation to help students pass their language proficiency tests. This BYOD implementation occurred in 2 language test preparatory classes, 1 writing skills class and 1 speaking skills class. A DNA, or device neutral approach, was used. Students were permitted to bring their own mobile devices and encouraged to use them both inside and outside of the classroom for class work, homework, individual and group assignments, communication, and course management. The goal was to maximize language practice and critical thinking. To encourage communication, the courses used the Edmodo learning platform, as well as email, Twitter, and text messaging. 7 specific mobile tools were used in this BYOD implementation. All students were required to install 2 electronic dictionaries on their mobile device to support writing assignments, vocabulary exercises, and reading comprehension. Students were encouraged to use basic web searching on their mobile device to explore topics that came up in class. Students participated in 2 video projects. The first was to create a video dictionary showing the meaning of a word. It should be noted that some students acted out the meaning of the word in their video. Some students preferred not to be in a video for cultural reasons and used pictures and words to define their word in the video. The second video project was to create a cooking video in which the students narrated a video of them cooking a familiar recipe. Mobile devices were used to complete these video projects. To practice for their language proficiency tests, students used their mobile devices to participate in online speaking practice. Students used VoiceThread to respond orally to prompts provided by their instructor. Weekly blogging occurred only in the writing class in order to encourage free writing. While it was not required, students were often observed to read and comment on each other's blogs. The activities on social networking websites were not required from students as part of their coursework, but were encouraged for purposes of communication and content sharing. Students were observed to use Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter to engage in these forms of sharing. Finally, students used Edmodo as the primary communication and learning tool. Examples include instructor announcements, links to articles, extra exam practice, and online quizzes. The researcher designed a survey to evaluate the use of mobile devices in learning and students' readiness to view their mobile devices as tools for learning as much as they are tools for social connectivity and entertainment. The survey was provided to the students after 8 weeks of class. 45 out of 57 students took the survey. The survey included 4 parts, including mobile ownership and use, using mobile devices for coursework, learner independence, and disadvantages. These outcomes can be summarized by the following general trends. Students already own 1 or more mobile devices. The main use preference is communication, followed by keeping a journal. Students are more engaged but would rather not do extra work. The majority of students feel that mobile learning contributes to independent learning. The general perception is that the advantages of mobile learning outweigh the disadvantages. This BYOD implementation study describes the challenge of defining the construct of mobile learning. This has been reflected throughout the literature. In their socio-cultural ecological approach to M-learning, Patchler and Bachmeier describe the mobile cultural resources that emerge in the mobile complex of structures, agency, and cultural practice. These authors encourage not the exploitation of mobile devices for learning, but instead the assimilation of learning with mobiles in informal contexts of everyday life into formal education. This BYOD implementation is reflective of this theory of mobile learning in that course assignments were not significantly changed. Rather, the devices were used to encourage greater engagement with the material through frequent and varied communication. The mobile complex of the socio-cultural ecological approach promotes using mobile devices to form an identity, address and impact cultural practices, and create mobile cultural resources. The BYOD implementation describes the cultural sensitivity required for class assignments involving picture and video by allowing students opposed to this practice to use alternative media. However, the study does not describe any meaningful dialogue on identity formation or the relationship between mobile devices and cultural practices. In this way, the study does not reflect this theory of mobile learning to its fullest extent. In the Framework for the Rational Analysis of Mobile Education, or FRAME, model, the learner aspect takes into account an individual's cognitive abilities, memory, prior knowledge, emotions, and possible motivations. In this model, these individual differences are believed to impact learning, and mobile learning can enhance this by allowing learners to access content in multiple formats and highlighting the context and uses of the information. The assignments provided in this study are partially reflective of the FRAME model. Learners were permitted to access content, such as electronic dictionaries and web searches, in their preferred way. However, this does not imply that the integration was completely learner-centered. In this implementation, the instructors used DNA, or device-neutral assignments. This is a learner-centered implementation in that students could select the device that best fit their learning style and preference. Some strategies for DNA include allowing choice of product, co-constructing success criteria, and grouping students purposely. The implementation reflected some of these strategies, such as the freedom to choose any blogging service for the writing class. However, the products were not differentiated. All students created a video, for example. Freedom and flexibility were provided within the video, but there is no evidence that product choice was permitted. Therefore, the implementation does not support all strategies of using DNAs and is therefore not fully learner-centered. Based on what I have learned about the theories of mobile learning and the BYOD implementation in the Intensive English Language Program, I have 3 suggestions for the program leaders. Explore more deeply the relationship between mobile learning and culture. Mobile learning can impact identity formation, sociocultural structures, and cultural practices. Language courses provide an excellent forum in which to explore these relationships. If the program is fully DNA, use that. Provide students with the flexibility to create products of their choice. Continue to identify the required elements of an assignment as well as success criteria, but allow students to use the affordances of their individual device to engage with the course content. And finally, be more methodologically precise. For example, this study focused entirely on a women's language course. However, this was not strongly highlighted in the study or used to frame the results. Perhaps there are elements of a BYOD implementation that are unique to this population of students. That perspective could be used to improve future research efforts in this context.